I guess. So I had about 30, 40 minute conversation with God yesterday. I'm by myself right now. My family's off doing other things. So I was able to really pour my heart out to him. I was, and he just revealed so much to me. I prayed for divine revelation. I prayed for divine revelation of Jesus Christ. I prayed for divine revelation of God. I prayed for him to reveal himself in a way I could never reveal himself before. But he just reminded me. He just reminded me of of the most basic, the core teaching of Scripture. He just reminded me what all Scripture, the verses that all Scripture hangs on. If you would turn with me to, Matthew 22:37-40. Again, it's Matthew 22:37-40. Jesus said unto him, This is Jesus saying unto Yahweh, who asked him, which is a great commandment in the law. Some translations say graded, but it's basically the same thing. He's asking what is the number one commandment in the law. What is the commandment that, for lack of a better word, what's the commandment that trumps all others? What's the commandment that we have to make sure we follow? And, he didn't act because he really wanted to know. He acted because he wanted to check Jesus and because he was hoping to trip him up a little bit. But Jesus still answered him, even though he knew the intention. He answered him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. The second is just like it. They intertwined with each other. We'll talk about that in a second. He says, and the second is like it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On the two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Without the two commandments, all of the law and the prophets are basically meaningless, or basically spelled gibberish without the two commandments. These are the two commandments that they hung on to. And I wanna go back to something where it says, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, period. No qualifier, no requirement, just point blank, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And there's a reason these two are together. There's a reason that these two are together. If you love God, if you truly love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, then your love for God should flow like a mighty sea into your love for people. And that should really make it the easiest thing in the world to love people. That's what we're called to do. We're not called to fix people. We're not called to make people feel bad about themselves. We're not called to make people feel insecure. We're certainly not called to make people feel like they're not worthy of love, because they are. If if anybody was not worthy of love, if they just were not worthy of love whatsoever, God wouldn't have wasted time creating them. God wouldn't have took the time to knit them inside their mother's womb. He wouldn't have took the time to know their innermost thoughts, to know their innermost working, to know their innermost details. He just wouldn't. But sadly, there's people out there who see fit to tell other people through their actions and even through their words to them sometimes that they're not worthy of love, that God can't love them because they identify a certain way, or that God can't love them because they don't exactly line up with this Christian version of Christianity. It is not our job to fix people. It is not our job. Because if we fix people, if we try to fix people, the majority of the time, we grew up. We just grew up. So, that is why our job is just to love people. If we love people, we will show them the glory of God much more effectively than if we tear them down. There are people, unfortunately, that have ended their lives because they have gone through their life thinking they're not worthy of love. They've gone through their life thinking they're not worthy of love from other people, thinking they're not worthy of loving themselves, and most importantly, most detrimentally, thinking they weren't worthy of love from God. And that cannot be further from the truth. I'm sorry, that just can't be further from the truth. There's no person on this planet, because all people on this planet were created by God. There is not one person on this planet that God doesn't love. So He may let you go off on your own for a while, or He may let you figure some stuff out on your own for a while. But He'll never stop loving you. God's love for you will never end. Now, your love for Him may never begin, but His love for you will never end. And because of that, if we call ourselves Christians and we don't love people to the best of our ability, Christ said, Christ put down, as Christ name drops as one of the greatest commandments, if we don't do this, I don't believe you have any business calling yourself Christian. I just don't. I don't believe you have any business calling yourself a Christian. At least not yet. At least until you understand how God loves people. Or maybe you're just not as in tune with Jesus and as in tune with God as you think you are. Because what I'm reading right now, Matthew 22:39 it is, what I'm reading right now, love your neighbor as yourself, that had no qualifier. That had no requirement. That is just point blank statement. That is just point blank command. But a lot of the times, sadly, we see fit to judge who is worthy of love. And that had never been our place and will never be our place. Our place and our purpose is to love people like Jesus loved them. And I'm going to qualify myself a bit by saying this. I understand that it can be hard to love people sometimes. I understand that it can be hard to love people sometimes. But this is a command from Jesus himself. And if this is a command from Jesus, if that's the case, and he loves people, and he gives you a command to love people like you love yourself, like he loved you, then he'll give you the strength to do it. You just have to be willing to do it. You just have to be willing to take the first step. Say, hey, I'm sorry how maybe people have made you feel in the past, but I'm here to tell you I love you. You should love yourself, and more importantly, God loved you. God loved you so much that he saw fit to die for you in spite of yourself. There's a great illustration that I saw at my home church one time. The illustration was this. I had invited a friend to church. They stayed for the service, and by the end of the service, they went up to the altar and she was praying. And my mom just got up from her seat, wrapped her arms around this person, and just prayed with them, just loved on them, just reminded them that she was there for them, and that she loved them, because God loved them, and God gives you a command to love people. God gave her a command to love people. And I'm not saying that filled me with so much joy because that was particularly out of character for my mother. It wasn't. If she saw you struggling with something, or she saw you on your knees, or she saw you at your wit's end praying for something, she would be the first one in line to give you a hug, tell you that she loved you, and just remind you that you are worthy of love. What got me so much joy out of seeing that is that's how it was always supposed to be. The Christian embracing their fellow man, embracing God's fellow creation, not tearing them down, but building them up, reminding them that they were worthy of love. They were worthy of love from other people. They were worthy of loving themselves. And most importantly, they were worthy of love from God. And if someone tells you you're worthy of love from God, like I'm telling you right now, you are loved by the one person that matters. You are loved by the one entity in this world that even deserves your respect and reverence and deserves your love back. You're loved by the one person who only matters in this world. Guys, at the end of the day, we don't serve man, we don't serve ourselves, we serve God. And God says right here, point blank, love thy God with all your soul, with all your heart, and with all your mind, and love thy neighbor. Intertwined with each other. You cannot have one without the other. Love your neighbor and love God. Love God and love your neighbor. You can't have one without the other. Guys, what would it be like if we went into 2020 or we went into the rest of the world's existence with that mindset? what would it be like? I believe we'd be one step closer to the Garden of Eden that God envisioned, for us in the first place. We need to stop focusing on things that don't matter and focus on the one thing that does. The one thing that does is the command from God. Love God and love your neighbor. Everyone is your neighbor. There's not a qualifier, there's not a requirement. Just love people because that's what God said to do. And ultimately, God will give you the strength to do it. All you have to do is be willing. And you may learn something yourself from that experience if you open yourself up to another person, if you say that you love them, if you invest time in them, you may learn something yourself. So, if you take that mindset, if you take it and truly run with it, be prepared for God to do some mighty, mighty things in 2020 and throughout the rest of your life. Guys, I love you. I'll be praying for you throughout the new year and throughout the remainder of your lives. I'll see you next week, and God bless you.